if you think it's the wrong move for House Republicans to just let this thing go by the wayside.
I'm not so sure that's going to happen. We'll see. I know that that's the initial conversation as being reported. You're right. But I do think and hope that perhaps, and what I think should happen is Speaker Johnson should get on the phone or in person with Chuck Schumer and try to perhaps work out something that that could get passed. Now, I know that sounds impossible in the context of everything that we've covered over the past week or two, but there are some things that could make sense that would be palatable for enough Republicans and Democrats. You would have to put some border security measures back in. It would not have to be this comprehensive immigration reform package that would negotiated. There's also talk on the table from the former president that he would support making loan guarantees to Ukraine and Israel and Taiwan as opposed to outright aid. That's something that has a historical precedence. We certainly did that through Lend-Lease. We certainly did that with the Germans after Reconstruction. And you can do very long-term payment plans on those, Blake. So I do think what needs to happen, instead of just shutting down the conversation, is that I hope the Speaker and others will try to come to the table with new provisions that would strengthen the supplemental and make it more palatable to both sides.
So here was Donald Trump, because he, like we saw in the House bill, Morgan, he's pushing Senate Republicans, or he pushed Republicans, I guess you could say, in this town, not to back it. He says, from this point forward, are you listening, U.S. Senate? No money in the form of foreign aid should be given to any country unless it is done as a loan, not just a giveaway. What about that concept?
Well, Israel already actually pays back in large part what we give to them, and that's through all the defense exchanges. Listen, as somebody who worked for USAID and worked in foreign aid for a long time, we actually have spent a lot of in that community, in the foreign aid community, talking about how oftentimes a lot of those things that we work on at USAID fail, right? And they don't actually help get some of these countries that are dependent on foreign aid out of the cycle of poverty. This is a very different case, of course, for Ukraine and Israel. We know that. But again, I would point to historical precedents through Lend-Lease and other things that the United States has done, in which people that we helped or allied or people who we were, rebuilding through Reconstruction did. Again, these were very long-term loans, but they did have to pay them back so that they had some skin in the game. I think that makes sense to a lot of common sense, average, everyday Americans if they would consider that proposal.
All right, Morgan Ortagus, former spokeswoman over at the State Department. Morgan, thanks as always. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay, so what about this concept of loans? Instead of giving grants, taxpayer money, saying, you know what, we'll give you that money and loan it back.
Yeah, but that's just a new discussion. How's Ukraine?
Well, no, but that's the question. If it is a new discussion, what about it? Does it make sense or no?
It doesn't make sense for Ukraine if Israel pays us back a lot of money already, and they've got the upper hand in this war against Hamas and Gaza. That makes sense. But for Ukraine, I'm not sure how Ukraine pays it back. They've got to rebuild infrastructure regardless of how this war ends up. So I don't think it's realistic. But the other thing is this, real quick, is the Republicans have multiple personalities. The Lankford bipartisan bill, that's dead on arrival, and when it had the financial, they had the international aid, and it had border security. That's dead. And now the Democrats in the Senate put forth another bill that has $95 billion for Ukraine and Israel, and that's dead on arrival. You can't have it both ways, can you? Or am I missing something?
I think you can have it both ways. I think what you heard Scott say was actually there's a lot true there. He's like, look, Ukraine's a long way away. Do the American taxpayers really want to pay $60 billion for who knows what? Let's put that in perspective, by the way. The total budget this year for the United States Marine Corps, all of it, $53 billion. So you're giving Ukraine more than we use every single year.
So all of foreign aid in 2022, $70 billion in total obligations, $41 billion of that managed by USAID. The largest recipient, Sub-Saharan Africa, at $17.7 billion.
$60 billion is a huge number.
When we say foreign aid, let's be sure we know what we're talking about here. This isn't just a gift to a country and have fun, and there's no benefit to the U.S. whatsoever.
No, there's always a quid pro quo.
When you look at global pandemics and helping people stop global pandemics before they reach our shores, when you talk about rooting out terrorists when we're trying to find them abroad, our global strategic alliances across the world, like these have benefits to everyday Americans that keep us safer and healthy and protect our country.
But when you see numbers like the ones that were just cited in terms of what we're spending on our own military, and you see the change in sentiment, well, we are all over the world.
No, but I'm not in the way Ukraine is right now.
but we are in different ways. And I
Right,
think
in
that's
different
like
ways.
in.
But if you don't
But hold on,
fund
let me finish my
Last
point.
word to Denise here.
39% of Republicans a year ago actually were for engagement, right? And now, against foreign engagement. And now 51% are. A majority of Republicans are now opposed to it. And it's not just Republicans. It's people like Cardi B who are saying, look, Cardi B in November went after the president for saying, how come you're giving all this money to other people? Why aren't you taking care of people in my own backyard? And that's the sentiment you heard from the congressman,
Right.
and that's the sentiment that is
You know what they
reverberating
say, when you've
throughout
lost
the
Cardi
Republican
B,
Party.
you've lost. Thank you for watching. And make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.